I'm going to start again at the bottom of page 82. I know you don't have this book, most of you. Rana, do you have your book?
Yes, I do.
Oh, page 82.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this was dead. I grabbed it.
Now we're in the days leading up to Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim and Sukkot, which are 3 days of judgment. Rosh Hashanah is the first day of judgment, or really 2 days of judgment. Yom Kippur is the second day of judgment. What's the third day? Hoshana Rabbah. The last day of Sukkot, meaning the first day of Shmini Atzeret, or Simchat Torah, that is the last day of judgment. In fact, you'll notice that even though it's a holiday, we say like happy slichot here. Hoshana Rabbah, the morning prayers on that day are perhaps the longest weekday prayers of the whole year. It takes us a good few hours. I think last year it took us about 3 hours. Which is not crazy compared to Shabbat, but compared to 45 minutes an hour in the weekday, it's long. So in order to prepare for the days that are coming up, every year I pause whichever class happens on Thursday night, and instead of studying Kuzari or Parasha or whatever else, we study some concepts of Teshuvah, of coming back to Hashem, how to return, how to fix ourselves, how to become better people. Every year I choose a different rabbi. This year I was studying the rabbi of Piaseczna, of Klonomis Kalman Shapira. He was murdered in the Holocaust by the Nazis. It's a famous Hasidic rabbi. His name, the Rebbe of Piaseczna. There's no right or wrong way to spell that. Piaseczna. It's some place in Europe. And he was telling us that, listen, I am as a rabbi, he's speaking to us, I can only help you as much as you're willing to help yourself. I can't make you do teshuvah. I can't make you a better person. I can help you discover what steps you have to make to be a better person, but only you know who you are. Only you know the problems that you have. Only you know the things that you would never tell me. Yeshnam anashim gdolim. There are great people. Uktanim, and also some not so great people. Sheinam margishim chisaron b'kirbam. They never think that they're lacking anything. They're always perfect. Everything is perfect. Everything they do is perfect. They never have any problems. If someone fights with them, it's always the other person's fault. If they do something wrong, it's always someone else's fault. If they spend too much money on their credit card, it's the credit card company's fault. If someone hits them in the car, it's always the other person's fault. If they scream at their wife, it's always their wife's fault. There's a certain kind of people like that. No matter what they do, they're always right. There are some people that don't think it comes time for Teshuvah, for Elul, and they hear a rabbi say you have to become a better person. I'm the best person in the world, I'm a better person. Stop doing avirot. I don't do any avirot, I'm a tzaddik. Learn more Torah, learn more Torah. The whole day I'm studying Torah. Okay, not the whole day, so I'm working, so I'm eating, so I'm watching TV. Okay, so 5 minutes a day I have, I'm learning Torah, but I'm almost like Moshe Rabbeinu. There are some people, no matter what you tell them, they always are good. It's a good character trait to have towards other people. You know, everyone else is good, that's a good character trait. But when you are always good, and everyone else is bad, that's not a good character trait. And even if they read the books of Musar and they find out on page 84 that there's something wrong, let's say they're lazy, and they read a book that talks about how bad it is to be lazy. Or they're angry people, and they read a book about how bad it is to be angry. He never thinks that I have that problem. Laziness, I'm not me. Lazy? Nah, I just like to sleep. Anger, me angry. I'm not an angry person. If only they stopped bothering me, I would not be angry. And because of that, he doesn't ever worry about fixing himself because he's perfect. Siman lo tov hu lo. This is a bad sign if everything is good for you. כי כך דרך החולים. אם תכבד חוליו, לא ירגישה ולא ידע כי חולה הוא. He quotes the Rambam in his Shmoneh Parakim, in his introduction to Pirkei Avot, in which he says that this is a really bad thing. If you can't tell the things that you're doing are wrong, it's like a sick person. You know, when a sick person has a heart attack and they're in the hospital and they get a cold, so they don't really know they have a cold because they're so sick that whether they're feeling their nose is stuffed or not is not a big deal. But that's a bad thing. If you are sick and you can't feel that you're sick, that means probably you're sicker than you even think you're sick. If we're talking about someone who's not feeling well, so Tom Mishbarach. ישבח ימותינו ותבוא שרה, יפקח רבי מלבן וגן וסתם גם בדברי יברך את השם הטוב.
Oh, Rosa bin
Rosa
Isabella.
Isabella.
Or not bin,
בת איזבלה. מלכת המה יברך אותה בסדר שלושה אחרי ראשה בכל יברך אין נער יפן נענה. אין? אין בלן סונה, אין נער יפן, אין אבל לחימה ועברה ורזת עלה ראשון וכן יהי רצון ונאמן. Should have רפואה שלמה. Why don't we come, we'll pull up chairs around the table, there's room. You're just getting something? Yeah, good, it's okay, don't feel stuck. Maybe move the mechita so you can just push it up towards the chairs so you can get around. but ישנם אנשים ונערים גם במידה כזו. There's also another category of people. בפנימיותו מתחיל הלב להרגיש כחיסרון זה בו. He reads the book of Musar about a bad character trait and says, you know, maybe I have this problem. Most people are probably in this category. I have this problem. Yeah, you know, everyone has problems. הוא מתחיל לדאוג ולכאוב, and he starts to get worked sad about it and worried about it. You know, I want to fix this problem. I don't want to be like this forever. I don't want to die like this. אבל בדעתו ממהר הוא לתרץ עצמו לאמור. What happens when a person starts to feel uncomfortable? What's a natural human reaction to discomfort?
They like shelter themselves or like lock themselves in.
That's maybe what they do. How do we cope with discomfort? If you have a headache, what do you do?
Oh, drink a pill.
What?
Drink a pill?
Yeah, take Tylenol. Wait a minute, did your headache go away now that you took Tylenol?
No.
You don't feel it anymore, but it's still there. Yeah?
Cover it up.
If someone, God forbid, breaks their leg, and before they get surgery, they put them on crazy painkillers. The leg is not fixed. Just because they're not hurting, it's not fixed. It's just, I don't feel it anymore. The natural human reaction to discomfort, come. You can pull up chairs, it's all over. The natural human reaction to discomfort is to make myself think that I'm comfortable. To move away from discomfort. We try to avoid feeling uncomfortable. It's a very normal thing. But I want to see you, so just come as close as you can. Maybe if you put another chair on this side. Or Raphael, how about you do this?
Yeah.
Why don't you move to the end of the table? And then put two chairs right there. So whenever we deal with discomfort, the natural human reaction is I don't want to feel uncomfortable, so I want to feel comfortable. It's for this reason, they once had a rabbi come to America from Poland. He came to fundraise for his yeshiva in Poland. The Jews in New York and the Jews in Poland may have come from the same families, but in the early 1900s they were in completely different places. They called America the not kosher country. There was no such thing as people who didn't work on Shabbat yet. No such thing as people who dressed modestly. Or people who kept kosher. With no kosher food, how do you keep kosher? Jews came here, literally yesterday they were religious, and today they were working on Shabbat, they were eating pig, they were unbelievable. And even the few people who did keep Shabbat, you see in America there was no such concept of not working on Saturday. You don't work on Sunday. Saturday, who said Saturday? And so every week they would have to quit their job. Because they'd say, listen, you can quit Saturday, but you just can't come back on Sunday. I don't care. Yeah, it's okay if you keep Shabbat, just don't be here on Sunday. There's a whole generation of Jews like that. In fact, many of their kids, unfortunately, did not end up keeping Shabbat. I once heard a rabbi say that perhaps, not that God forbid they should have worked on Shabbat, but what did Shabbat feel like in their house? So the parents didn't work, but now they were all crying because on Sunday there's not going to be any work. And so Shabbat became a day that people gave up their parnasah for. They gave up their work for, they gave up their jobs for. And the kids always associated Shabbat with a bad day. And even though they tried to keep Shabbat, but sometimes, you can't hold back a human reaction. That gave into the next generation a struggle. That Shabbat is the day that my parents gave up my clothing for some God in the sky that I can't even see. It's a very interesting balance that a person has to have. I will tell you this. So this rabbi came to America. He wants to fundraise, but the president of the synagogue comes to the rabbi and says, listen, Rabbi, tonight I want you to speak about something, but just don't talk to them about kosher, because nobody in this community keeps kosher. We don't want to make them uncomfortable. Okay, fine, not a problem. Because, also, don't speak to them about Shabbat either, because there's nobody here who keeps Shabbat. So it's really going to be hurtful to them and offensive if you speak about Shabbat. Okay. Also, you shouldn't talk to them about, praying, because nobody here prays. They come just for the kiddush and they go home. There's nobody here to pray. It's okay. So, don't talk to them either about mezuzot and tefillin and things like that, because we don't have any sofrim here in America, so there's nowhere they can buy such things. Just don't bother them with those details, like mezuzot. It goes through a whole list of things you can't talk about. He's like, so what do you want me to talk about? Like, you took away all my topics. What do you want me to talk about? He says, what? Just talk about Judaism. In America, we have this understanding that you could talk about Judaism without talking about the mitzvot. It's a very normal experience in this country. And people come to Torah classes for years and years and years, but between actualizing anything in the class and learning the class is a huge gap. We don't like to be uncomfortable. And so most places in the world, you'll go to a school, you'll go to a synagogue, you'll find that the rabbis, more often than not, don't speak about anything that's problematic for their community. They won't speak about going to Israel, for example. That's the worst topic you can speak about. We had a vote in the Rabbinic Conference of Jerusalem. What's the worst topic you can speak about to your Jewish community in America? Is about moving to Israel. It's almost asking to be fired. I pay you, so you tell me that I should feel good living here in Brooklyn. What do you mean? I'm going to pay you and you're going to tell me I have to leave? I like my house, I like my car, I like my kids' private school. What do you... Israel? Why talking about some desert in the Middle East? Religious people. I'm not talking not religious people. I don't blame them. Rabbis are meant never to talk about anything that's going to make you uncomfortable. That's the worst kind of rabbi in the world. Who needs that? That's why you have your friends for. Your rabbi's the job is to make you uncomfortable, not to make you feel bad, but to make you feel uncomfortable in a good way. Because when you're uncomfortable, so if there's a spike in your chair, so you'll move aside and you won't sit on it. That's a good thing. If you have a rabbi who says, no, it's okay, sit on the spike, it's fine, it's good for you. I don't care if you make me feel you make me feel comfortable at the spike, but I still have a spike in my chair. The same thing here. The Piaseczna Rebbe is saying there are some people who they see a midah, they know that I'm suffering from it, they start to feel bad. I feel bad that I have this bad character, but then I started to think about, maybe I should be comfortable with this character in me. Embrace who you really are. Don't change for anybody. You hear all these bumper stickers, this is what do you mean? Something that I'm doing is bad for me. Imagine you find a drug addict and you say, hey, don't change for anybody. You just be yourself. That'd be the worst advice you can ever give to a drug addict in your whole life. It's a crazy thing to tell somebody. If you love him, you'll make him feel uncomfortable. Not like make fun of him. You'll take him to a meeting somewhere. You'll take him to professional help. Well, they'll tell you have a problem. I don't want to talk about my problems. I'm worried. I'm talking about your problems. That's the best thing you could do for somebody. So what does he do? הלא אין חיסרון כי באופן גרוע כל כך כמו שמייסר הספר. He said, what this book is talking about, the Ramchal talks about, the Rambam talks about all these bad character traits. I'm not that bad. Come on. I struggle a little bit. I'm a little bit angry, but that angry? It's not talking about me. והמעט שיש בי כמעט מוכרח להיות בי. He says, in the little bit of bad that I have in me, I have to have that bad. Why? כי אין צדיק בארץ אשר יעשה טוב ולא יחטא. We're told there's no righteous person on earth who's completely righteous. So, they also have to be a little bit not righteous. Big deal. וגם זה שותפו של היצר הרע הוא, ואחיתו זוהם הנפש, וחושך הגיהנום הוא. That this attitude too is a partner of the Yetzer Hara, and it leads to nothing but spiritual pollution and to the darkness of Gehenom. Because at the end of the day, you're going to the same place. Just this one doesn't even know that he has something wrong. This one knows he has something wrong, but he's convincing himself it's okay. It's okay that what I'm doing is wrong. Now, there are times where sometimes you act like this in order not to let yourself become depressed or not. Fine. There are times where you say, Hashem, this character trait, it's not in this month agenda to fix. I'm going to have to wait till next month. When I get my new paycheck, then I can start thinking about that one. This month, I'm already maxed out. That's fine. The difference between that, though, and becoming fully comfortable with the things that we have wrong, it's a problem. Oh, but you're going to ask a famous philosophical question. There need to be evil people in the world. Do you know that? The Kabbalists are famous for saying that without evil people, you would never have righteous people. Because if you just had righteous people, they would just be people. They wouldn't be righteous people. You need to have bad people so you could appreciate who is good. If you didn't have black, you wouldn't have white. you didn't have white, you wouldn't have black. You need, if everybody just saw the same color in the world, then it wouldn't help. It wouldn't help. Everybody would be seeing the same color. Think about Paro. Talking about Paro. Paro, Hashem says to Avraham Avinu, your children are going to be slaves in Egypt. So what happens? They become slaves in Egypt. Why does Hashem punish Paro? What's Paro? Paro is just doing what God said is going to happen. So why does he get in trouble?
Because he didn't have to do it. Someone else could have done it.
He didn't have to be Paro. You could let your friend be Paro. Why do you have to be Paro? Yeah, Hashem said there's going to be a bad person. Why do you have to volunteer for all the right things? Why do you volunteer to be the one to put the Jews in slavery, to kill the Jewish children? Why you? But let your cousin do it. He's also from the same family.
Why do you have to have evil in order to know that there's good? Why can't you just all be okay? I mean, why does the world have to be structured so that you have to have good and you have to have evil? Why can't you just have people that are okay? And even if you don't recognize them as things that they keep, so what?
Why do you wear different colored clothing?
Because you get bored of certain clothing sometimes.
When I frame a white certificate in a black frame, why don't I frame a white certificate in a white frame on a white wall? Why don't I do that with white ink?
Well, you could do that if you want to.
But you wouldn't.
No.
The order of the world is that we always contrast everything with everything. Everything is compared and contrasted.
But the difference between a world that's full of evil and a picture that has
Not
different
full of
colors is
evil. A
different.
world is not full of evil. A world that has evil has just as much righteousness as it has evil in it.
To the balance.
It has to be a balance.
But now it's like more, I feel like there's more dark than bright.
Because you never read about the light. The CNN News doesn't deliver to you what's good happening in the world. You never get news at 10. People are doing well in this city. People have enough money in this place. This is the synagogue that never had to ask for a donation. You never hear that in the news. All you hear in the news is the bad stuff. It doesn't mean there's more bad stuff than good stuff.
So the world isn't like trending in either direction, it's just always at the same balance, equilibrium point.
This is a...
What do you guys see?
A black dot and a white page.
Really? You guys, if you guys had to write a whole story about this, what you saw, what would you write about?
The starting point.
A black dot. But why? The black dot is like the smallest part of the whole big page. Like there's all this whiteness, and you guys are gonna only concentrate on the black dot. That's exactly what we're doing. There's so much good in the world, but we're focusing on this little tiny black dot that is not the rest of the. It's not even 10% of the page.
The same years that we had a Holocaust, we had a real awakening of Jewish people to go back to the land of Israel. And I can't tell you that one is a reason for the other one. But there are two events that happened at the same time. Exactly in the same years, in the same period. When you ask somebody, so what was the Jewish world like in the 20s, 30s, and 40s? What we'll focus on is a mass genocide. Every community in the world will have the Holocaust. But that's not all that happened to the Jewish people in the 20s and 30s and 40s. We were buying back plots of land. We were pushing back Arab armies. We were taking over politically and militarily from the British. Jews around the world were starting to think about maybe we're going to go home, and we actually did it. And yeah, there was terrible evil. I can't take away that evil, but somehow we always focus. Yes, the 20s, 30s, and 40s. What was it like for the Jewish world? Disaster. Really? Is that all that there was? It was terrible disaster. That doesn't mean that disaster had to happen for good to happen. I didn't tell you that. But everything in the world has a contrast to it. Everything. It doesn't mean we like it. It's just the way the world is. A person is not going to be perfect. But why do you have to be so perfect that you're not perfect? Why can't you just try to be perfect and assume that you're going to mess up somewhere? Why is this guy so happy with his imperfection? He says, I also have to be imperfect somewhere, so I'm going to choose my imperfection. It's another disease, says the Piaseczna Rebbe. Yisod machalat shnehem, the root of both of these people's disease is sheinam dorshim me'atzmam gadlut, that they do not demand greatness from themselves. They do not demand greatness from themselves. Once Chacham Ovadia Yosef was speaking to a group of yeshiva students, a huge hall of yeshiva students, thousands of people. He said, who wants to be the next Gdol Ador, the next leader of the generation? Raise your hand. What are you, a fool? In front of the leader of the generation, you're going to raise your hand? I'm going to replace you. Who raised their hand? Nobody. He said, everybody get out. He says, you don't want to be the next great rabbi of the generation? Who needs you? And what is he telling them? He says, it's okay, you're not going to be. Chances are 5,000 people are not all going to be the greatest leaders of the next generation. But if you're not aiming for that, if that's not where you're trying to go, then who needs you? Why settle for mediocre? You would never go somewhere and say, I want my food half cooked. No, normally you order your food well done or cooked, and then they serve it to you and it's not cooked, so you send it back. But you would never initially order, leave it mostly raw for me. I like my fish when it's still flopping on the plate. Bring it to me like that. That's a crazy thing.
For your tires, having played it,
Yeah, very good. Half baked anything.
Yeah.
Why do we say these two people are both happy, not being great? That's their problem.
In the book about your Rabbi Tendler,
Yeah.
I'm your servant, was a story that they are from birth, right? And it's very unusual for that period of time in New York. And the reason is that they said that everybody expected their kids to marry Jewish. So the rest is like,
As long as you do that, you're okay.
right. But they say about their father that he put the raf way high. And he didn't, but people expected. I mean, it's America, it's very difficult. At least marry Jewish, so they stop eating kosher and stuff. So that's where you put the raf. If you aspire to just marry Jewish, then the rest is fall on the side.
There's a story about a rabbi who saw a chassid in Jerusalem. The chassidim have these peot. He saw his peot down to his ankles. It's an exaggeration, don't. It's down to your ankles. I've never seen in my life seen somebody's peot down to the ankles. Why such long peot? I said, I want my great-grandkids to be Jewish. So what does it have to do with your peot? Peot is not even a thing. It's not even a mitzvah. He said, I know. But if I have peot down to my ankles, then my son is going to have peot down to his knees, and my grandson down to his waist, and at least my great-grandson is going to have peot in the first place. He's going to have them still. He says, in life, everything goes down. That's the way these things work. If you set the standards very low, you know what they say, aim for the moon and hit the stars. Or maybe the other way around. I don't know which one's fun. Yeah? Aim for the moon and hit the stars. At least try aiming for the moon. If you're just happy, being on earth, then what's so special? It's a disease, he says. They believe that only the tzaddikim, the big ones, have to fix themselves. And every normal Jew is just the way he is. With often Jew, with whatever personality he has. Dailo, it's enough. כבן שחל שאין אביו מבקש ממנו הרבה, ובמעט הטוב שנמצא בו מסתפק. It's similar to a man who has a child who has some sort of handicap, emotional handicap, mental handicap. His expectations from that child are lower than that of his other siblings. He says, him, it's okay. Whatever he succeeds in, the father's going to be happy with. But why would you handicap yourself if you didn't have to? Somebody who has to, every mitzvah he does, everything he does, is an incredible feat. It's an incredible accomplishment. But why do you want to settle for that? Why not put yourself in the boat of the tzaddikim? V'ta'ut gdola to'ish kazeh. Somebody who adopts this attitude commits a grave mistake. כבר דיברנו לאל איך על כל אחד לעבוד לעזור לגלות מן עם ישראל את צדיקיו, גדוליו וגאוניו, ואיך השכינה מקוננת על המתרשם. We've already spoken in the previous chapters. I'm reading to you a random chapter from inside of the Piaseczna Rebbe's writings. We've already discussed the responsibility of every single Jew is to work on himself and to help others, to bring out the tzaddikim and the giants and the geniuses that are inside of Am Yisrael. You may not end up being that person, but by working towards that, and you're helping your friends work towards that, so one of you is going to reach that place. Somebody's going to reach that place. Push ourselves to reach the highest level of potential that we can. I had a very hard time with my parents growing up and my report cards. I am not an A+ student. Listen to me carefully. Now, I used to think that was a bad thing. That's the truth. I used to think it was a bad thing. Why? Because what do you mean? Why do you get a B? Why do you get a... Until I met Rav Peretz. Rav Peretz doesn't believe in grades. takes report cards, he throws them in the garbage. Doesn't believe in grades. You have kids, doesn't make a difference. Your kid is working hard at school, doesn't make a difference what grade they get. I mean, maybe for someone else it does, but for you it doesn't. Sit down with your kid, ask them questions. How's history class going? How's Chumash class going? How's you're doing well? You're happy? You like your rabbi? You like the teacher? You like it's good. You're smiling. Someone's bullying you in school. So everything is good. Take the report cards, throw it in the garbage. Someone's gonna give your kid a letter, and that's gonna decide how good your kid is or how good they're not, or if they're gonna get to college, if they're not. Some of the most wealthy people in the world never finish school. And so, some of the people that I know who finish school are from the least intelligent people that I ever know in my whole life. So it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, it could help. It doesn't make a difference. That's what I mean by this. It doesn't mean that you can't try. But when I'd come home with a A-, so I didn't get an A+. That's what everyone's normal parents, that's what they tell you. But then I met our parents put this into perspective. You have a kid who goes to school. And they're sitting at school the whole day, the whole morning, the whole afternoon, the whole day, taking homework, they're writing books. And at the end of the year, they know 80% of the material in the class. They know 60% of the material in the class. You said 60% of what you studied the whole year you know? That's an incredible accomplishment. Even 50% is a good number. Who decided that 90 is a good number, but 80 isn't such a good number? Who? You go to medical school. You don't want to ask doctors about their grades in medical school. And when doctors graduate, they graduate with, I don't know how the exact system, how it works, but I was talking to a doctor about it recently. There's like first-rate doctors, second-rate doctors, third-rate doctors, the ones who got their degree, in some island somewhere, and they came back and they took a test over here to make it certified. But they all work at the same hospital at the end of the day. One of them is going to cut you open, and you don't know which one it's going to be. Because at the end of the day, there's a certain amount of knowledge you have to know. After that, it's just about bragging. After that, it's just about showing off how smart I am, how good I am, look what kind of college I got into. So if you know the zuhama, the pollution that goes on in Harvard and in Yale and in Oxford, you think it's any different than UC San Diego or Santa Barbara, or you think it's any different? You think those 18-year-olds are any more mature or sophisticated than those 18-year-olds? They're doing the same drugs and the same girls and the same boys and the same alcohol and the same parties. Just some have more money, so it's a bigger budget they have. Same garbage. Don't get so carried away by what the world tries to tell you. It doesn't mean you don't try. But you have to know, if I didn't make it to be a giant, at least I made it to be a good person. And maybe my roommate, because I was a good person, my roommate became a giant. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't my roommate. Maybe because I was good to my roommate and he became a good person also. But his little brother looked up to him and he became a giant. Could be. You can't demand from yourself just to be, I just want to be simple. That's all I want. That's not fair. It's not fair to you and it's not fair to the rest of the world. Don't settle for mediocrity. Never. But, page 86, even if he wants to just be a simple Jew, as he calls it. How could you possibly forget the definition of Hashem of what is a simple Jew? I would just want to be a simple Jew. What is a simple Jew? What is that definition? Hashem made a rule, a condition with every Jew, from the wood chopper to the water carrier. When Hashem comes to give us the Torah and to turn us from a wandering nation into a real nation, He tells us now, this is in Shemot 19. And now, if you hear my voice, you listen to my words, and you observe my covenant, and you become to me a treasure among all the nations. And you will be for me a kingdom of priests, a goy kadosh, and a holy nation. That's a simple Jew. Mamlechet kohanim, a priest of a kingdom of priests, the goy kadosh, and a holy nation. Tnai hitna kadosh baruch hu v'ata im rak im kach tiyu Yisraelim atem v'im lav chas v'shalom. Only if you live up to this condition of being the greatest on earth, do you deserve to carry the title of Yisrael. And if not, chas v'shalom. He doesn't even want to say, he just says, etc. And if not, he doesn't want to say. What do you think, just because you're born Jewish, or you think just because you're living your life, that's all you need? I'm just a simple Jew, I go to shul, I do this, I put on tefillin, I get some tzedakah. That's not a simple Jew, that's just like simple. I want to be a simple Jew. You have to be a giant in the world, and if you don't reach it, at least try to reach it. But don't pretend to me that the life we live in our little gutter, that's a simple Jew. That's not a simple Jew. That's a Jew living in a gutter. If it was only a gutter, that's a Jew living in the sewer. That's a Jew living in a storm drain. Just because there's something that smells bad, that's not being a simple Jew. You have to work hard. ומי בכם נערי ישראל אשר ימאן חס ושלום להיות ישראל. I remember he's writing this book to yeshiva students, and he says, you dear youth, you young Jews, is there any of you who really says, you know what, I don't want to be Jewish then? Any of you who decides, yeah, I can't get out of the sewer? ומי הוא אשר לא ידרוש מעצמו ולא יאמר ישראל אני? Who's not going to stand and say, I'm proud, I'm a Israel, עבד אדוני אני, I'm a servant of Hashem. ובכל כוחי ומוחי, with all of my mind and my strength. אף עם כל חיי גופי ונפשי אעבוד. לזכור אותיות ישראל, if even my whole life I work hard to be a Jew. וכיוון שאת זאת ידרוש כל אחד מכם מעצמו, he says, and if all of you will agree to demand this from yourselves, כבר אי אפשר שלא ימצא את חסרונותיו. If you're working to be such a great person, then I'm certain that there's no way you're going to be able to overlook your shortcomings, because you want to be the greatest person on earth. So part of that is looking and assessing, what are my problems? ליבו ידע ולא יצטדק עליהם. רק בכל כוחו ישתדל לתקנם וישרם. You won't avoid your issues, you won't glaze over your problems. If you truly wish to be great, then you'll make sure that you're great in everything that you do. And that's my hope, is that I task you, don't just be simple, be great. So you don't make it to greatness, at least you'll make it to goodness. But don't settle for simple. Simple is where you settle, you have no choice. Work to be harder than that. And simple is not so simple in the first place. But search to be greater than what you can be. How parents are always screaming at us, "Titromemu!" Lift your... I don't know how to translate titromemu, like... exalt yourselves. That's not a good word. Become bigger than who you are. Why do you have to be so small? Why do you have to care? There's some people that care about everything. In the Beit Knesset, there are people who care. Why did they move my chair? Who moved it? Why did somebody sit in my chair? Why did my talit move from the right cabinet to the left cabinet? Why did it? So your whole life you came to Beit Knesset. This is what bothers you? Mass genocide in the world doesn't bother you. People in Houston rioting today, it doesn't bother you. People in the Jewish community abusing, doing drugs, that doesn't bother you. Why my talit moved from the right cabinet to the left cabinet? About this, I could sit there in my chair the whole tefillah, and I could fight, I could scream, and I could yell. For what? Because of this. There's something so small. He told me, move, become big. Your friend, your next door neighbor. There were two neighbors in Yerushalayim fighting with each other. Why? One went 3 inches into the other one's lawn. He put a fence and he 3 inches over. Suing each other in court. How dare you 3 inches of my property? Mamash, 6 or 7 years later. Years of lawyers and courts, and they come to Rapper and drop it. 3 inches? You're willing to ruin your life, lose all of your money to lawyers, spend days in court, give up your children's happiness, your own happiness. Every time you walk into your house, you're upset about the fence over there. It says, for what? For 3 inches? For 3 inches, you want to destroy your life? Every person is different. For some people, you know, someone scammed me out of $100. Some people, $100 is a lot of money. Some people, $100 is that pocket change. You know who you are. At a certain point, you say, my father had a roommate in college. He lent him $20, and the guy never paid him back. But what did he do? He always avoided my father. If my father walked in, he would run and hide somewhere else. He said it was $20 well spent. That guy never came to ask him for money again. So it was worth investing $20 in this person. Him not paying it back, to never see this person again in your life. It's an important thing to think about. I had a roommate in yeshiva. I hope he keeps kosher today, but then he made my life with a lot of difficulty. You know these hot water kettles that you heat up water? It's like a little teapot. It's electric. You plug it in and you heat up water. Okay, so he used to use this for instant soup. have instant soup. He would pour it in. When the dinner was bad in yeshiva, he would eat it. Okay. One month, my mother sent in the mail like hot chocolate packets. It was the winter, it's cold. It's not San Diego in the winter. It's Baltimore in the winter. It's snowing outside. And it's unbelievable stuff that happens there. And there are people who choose to live like that. It's unbelievable. It's snowing, and I get this hot chocolate. I'm so excited, but now I need hot water. Where do you get hot water from? My friend has a hot water thing. No, okay. So ask if I can borrow his hot water a kettle. Heat it up. I'll never forget this moment in my life. You open your hot chocolate packet, you put it in the cup. I take the kettle. I pour the water. As the water's coming out, you hear like someone's about to die. No! This guy running towards me. I have no idea what went wrong. He's going crazy. What's going crazy? He only uses this hot water kettle for parev things like soup mix. My hot chocolate, it has powdered milk in it. Listen carefully. The steam of the hot chocolate is rising into the plastic of his kettle and has now made the spout chalavi, dairy. And now, tomorrow, when he makes his parev chicken soup and he pours hot water and it's going to go through that spout, all that water is going to become dairy. It's going to go into the chicken soup. He won't be able to have it with the meal that he has in the yeshiva, which is meat. All because I used his hot water kettle. This is like a tragedy for him, almost like Teshuvah. Destroying the Beit HaMikdash and having his kettle becoming dairy were almost the same thing for this guy. And what did he do? He said, you have to pay me for a new one. Okay, now I'll tell you, there are a lot of factors that go into this. One, if his whole argument is even true in the first place. Two, he didn't tell me that I can't use it for dairy, so it's nice that now you're upset, but when I borrowed something, you could have told me, don't use it for dairy. I said, I'm not going to pay you. This is nonsense. What do you mean? The hot water is going to make your thing? And I didn't even know halakha then. I just knew that such a stupid situation can happen. And so what does he do? He takes me to a lawsuit. We go to not a real lawsuit, a lawsuit in the rabbis in the yeshiva. Now, what do you know about rabbis in the yeshiva? Rabbis in the yeshiva, they wouldn't know a halakha if it was looking at them in the face. Rabbis in yeshiva study Talmud. They study halakha is very foreign to them. And this rabbi said, yeah, you have to buy a new hot water kettle. So now I'm upset. I get a certain allowance in yeshiva. Let's give a number. I don't remember the number. Let's say I got, aside from my food already getting paid for, my laundry and my everything, I got like $40 of spending money a month. Yeah, it's not accurate. I'm just saying a number. And now this guy wants me to buy for $19.99 plus tax in Target a new hot water kettle. That's half of my allowance on this hot chocolate packet that probably came from the 99 cents. I don't know where it came from. I was upset. I told him I'm not going to pay. So I called my father. My father says, you only pay it. So I pay it. The guy's crazy. The rabbi's even more crazy than he is. He says, pay it. I said, why? He says, is this guy your friend? I said, yeah. He said, it's not worth $20 to keep a friend. It's not worth $20 to keep a friend. So I'll tell you, my dad is Yemenite, which means he's calm. So I paid him the $20. It's my dad's $20 anyways. I'm half Moroccan. That means until today I'm still not his friend. But the truth is that sometimes you have to ask yourself a question. What are you fighting about? I had a friend, I lent him my guitar. I lent him my guitar once. You don't have a guitar? I still don't know how to play it. It's okay. I lent him my guitar, brand new guitar. I just got it. And he used it in some little concert he put on. And he got one of those picks. It was cheap. It was red. I had this beautiful wooden guitar, and he scratched it up with a red pick. And it looked like a little kid took a crayon and all the washing in the world and the scrubbing in the world, and nothing worked. And it bothered me a lot. And I lent you a guitar. It was worth a few $100s, and you put a little piece that cost maybe 5 cents in the store. You made it red. I didn't even have a chance to learn how to play on it yet. I'm not coming down. My things are. That's what I do. At the time, I already had just met Vori, my wife. She says, your friend, you're going to fight with him over the red thing on a guitar? Great, another person like that in my life. And at a certain point, I guess the guy realized that I wasn't happy. I didn't tell him anything, because she told me not to tell him anything. And then, mamash, a few days later, he ordered in the mail like a plastic piece that goes in the guitar. And he covered it up. and I saw the receipt for the plastic. It was like $3. I said, for something that $3 would have fixed, I almost lost a friend. $3, all would have taken. What's the big deal? I'll tell you, it's a problem. If you're like this and your friends are always stepping on you, then you end up being a doormat and you don't have a healthy relationship with anybody. But assuming that your friends are normal, and most of the time they're good people, sometimes they mess up, it happens. It's a spouse, it's a child, it's a parent, it's a relative, it's a friend, it's a coworker. Ask yourself the question, I'm going to fight with somebody at work. For what? Because they drank my coffee, because they ate something from the refrigerator? How much did it cost me? $2. For $2, I'm willing to be uncomfortable for the rest of my career in this job. For what purpose? It doesn't make sense. Says the Piaseczna Rebbe, you have to realize that there's a lot of work to do, and the biggest step of working on yourself is learning how to be great. Don't be small. Don't, when the Queen of England puts a quarter in the machine to get a stuffed animal, I'm sure she doesn't go to the machine and get stuffed animals. Someone else does it for her. She puts a quarter in, she lost the quarter. She doesn't cry over a quarter she lost, because for her, what's a quarter? So what? What's the difference between the Queen of England and you, or me? The difference, she has a lot of money in her bank account. I don't have a lot of money in my bank account. I have enough money though to put another quarter in the machine. So right now, I could pretend to be as rich as she is. It's not like she has the money in her back pocket anyway. It's some bank account. You also pretend to be rich sometimes. What's the big deal? What could hurt you? Let yourself live a little bit. Let yourself be big a little bit. Don't get stuck about everything. Something happens, okay, kapara, what could it be? You break something, my grandma used to say, kapara. What does kapara mean? It should be like, instead of Hashem punishing me in another way, let it be this cup that broke. Okay. Something happened to your car, okay, Hashem, it's better than being sick, or something. Let that be what happens to me. If you accept these things, you become big, you'll realize that all those small problems you're already fixing. Just because you're trying to be big, you're already fixing your problems. But Hashem, as we continue through the studying of the writings of the Piaseczna Rebbe, next week we'll do a different chapter. And now that we know the concept of being big, so how do we actually follow through with that? What are the steps that we take to be that person? Hashem, we'll do that next week.